We're so used to seeing our favorite Disney characters just as they are that it's hard to imagine them looking any other way. Ready to see what your favorite characters could have looked like? Let's get into it.
Come on, I'll show you some more stuff.
Number 1. We know we're not supposed to talk about him.
Silencio, Bruno! Silencio, Bruno!
But we'll make an exception to show you the major transformation Bruno went through before hitting the big screen. Bruno went through other phases that made him look totally unrecognizable. From younger to older and bigger to smaller, there were many Brunos along the way, but
even if I wanted to, which I don't,
we couldn't talk about any of them. Number 2. We can all agree that Sisu from Raya and the Last Dragon is one cool-looking Disney character. When we see how she could have looked though, we're actually not sure why the creators changed her. Sisu didn't look too different from how we're used to seeing her, but we still love this more colorful look on her.
How does she change?
Number 3. It's hard to imagine a character that conveys sadness any better than Inside Out did. Come on, just look at her. But seeing some early sketches of sadness proves that this character was going to be perfectly sad and get all our sympathy no matter what. Maybe it was good that they didn't opt for some of the earlier iterations though. This version is just way too cute to watch her being sad all the time. Number 4. Onward's Ian Lightfoot looks like a regular teenager, in elf form of course, but he almost looked a lot elfier. Check out his bleach blonde hair in this early drawing. Number 5. Looks like major character design changes run in the Lightfoot family. Ian's mom, Laurel, didn't always have the short blue hair and glasses that she has in the movie. She almost had long blonde locks and a much, shall we say, groovier outfit. According to Onward's character supervisor Jeremy Talbot though, the like-mother-like-son appearance changes were no accident. Talbot says that Laurel has a little bit of Ian in her and a little bit of Barley too. As all 3 characters evolved, it was like a dance to keep it all balanced.
Splinter.
Number 6. The titular character in the movie Luca also went through his fair share of different versions before landing on his final fish form.
This is the greatest drawing I've ever seen!
Yeah, I know.
While over time Luca had many different shades of green with different features, he was always super cute.
What?
Number 7. Pixar's Turning Red is all about Mei Lee, a girl who turns into a red panda. Interestingly though, that red panda wasn't always exactly as we know her now. She had a few different looks along the way. Always red though. That was kind of the whole point.
Whoa, Mei.
You're you! And you look amazing!
Number 8. It's pretty hard to imagine our favorite Ice Queen from Frozen looking different at all, but she actually could have looked very different. Did you know that Elsa was once Frozen's villain instead of the protagonist?
Don't be the monster they fear you are!
And back when her character was very unrecognizable, so was her look. She was older and, well, meaner, and she was, at one point, actually modeled after none other than Bette Midler. She even had blue skin. But when the famous Let It Go was written, Frozen's creators realized that Elsa wasn't evil at all, just misunderstood. She went through a physical change.
Whoa, Elsa, you look different.
But she still wasn't the icy icon she is today. She actually had short black hair. We agree with the creator's ultimate choice though. Elsa just wouldn't be Elsa without that braid flip.
You look beautiful. Thank you. You look beautifuler. I mean, more beautiful. Thank you.
Number 9. Counselor Jerry from Soul definitely stood out in terms of character design. While Jerry was far less complex than the other characters, it's clear by their early sketches that they still went through many iterations before ending up with the final design.
Oh, this one might be a handful.
Number 10. Many folks love Moana for having a body that looks more like, well, a human body. We've come to expect that Disney princesses often have bodies that aren't exactly representative of most real people, and some waistlines that would not physically support the weight of a human head. Cough, bell, cough. Excuse me.
Some people use their imagination.
Moana's proportions are a lot more realistic. Or her body proportions are anyway. She still has absolutely massive eyeballs, but Moana originally had an exaggerated thin body type like most Disney princesses. We're really happy they changed this one.
Who are you meant to be?
Number 11. Can you imagine a hippie Ariel? Well, we almost got one. The Little Mermaid originally looked completely different. She had an open vest, yellow eyes, and even a pink tail instead of her signature green. No matter how she looked though, Ariel was always a redhead. Number 12. Ariel wasn't the only character from The Little Mermaid that underwent an extreme makeover. So did its villain. Before she was an octopus, she was a scary, skinny mermaid with green hair. Her look was inspired by a scorpion fish, making her tall and thin and creepy in a totally different way. Then the artist switched gears and went for a punk Ursula with a pink mohawk and some amazing eyelash extensions. We wish we were kidding. Ursula's final look was definitely the right choice in our books. Number 13. Mulan wasn't like other princesses, and she wasn't drawn like them either. It was important to the artist that Mulan could look like a guy when she was in the army, since that's a major plot point. For this reason, Mulan's design was pretty consistent over time, though her face did change slightly. It's still surprising that Li Shang didn't catch on though. Mulan was pretty obvious that she was playing a character quite a few times.
You will assemble swiftly and silently every morning.
Damn!
Number 14. Do you see any similarities between Tinkerbell and Marilyn Monroe? Well, Tinkerbell was originally created by Mark Davis, the same artist who created Cruella De Vil. Tinkerbell was originally pin-up inspired, specifically meant to look like Marilyn Monroe. At first, Tinkerbell was drawn to have red hair and a very different outfit before getting her signature green color palette.
What did she say?
She says you're a big ugly girl.
Oh, I think she's lovely.
Number 15. Speaking of Cruella De Vil's character design, this fan-favorite villain had a major transformation too. She was originally a young and glamorous fashion designer and heiress. When Mark Davis came on board though, she became the Cruella we all know and love. Know and hate. It is interesting though that no matter how old she was always going to have that black and white hair. Number 16. Cruella isn't the only lady villain who we couldn't imagine looking another way. Maleficent is also a bad gal with an iconic appearance. But this Sleeping Beauty villain was actually going to be a witch with antennae at first. Once again though, Mark Davis came in to save the day. He turned those antennae into the classic horns and made that hunched over hag into a glam evil queen. We love an evil glow-up.
You poor simple fools, thinking you could defeat me!
Number 17. The Lion King's diabolical antagonist Scar also got an evil glow-up of his own. In every iteration, Scar always looked super scary, but he was originally also more cartoonish and abstract. After Scar was changed from that cartoony-looking lion, he went way in the other direction, looking a lot more like a real live lion who would absolutely push his own brother off a cliff without thinking twice. Since The Lion King was meant to be appropriate for kids though, it's good that there was one more transformation in Scar's future. From a Scar who wasn't realistic enough to a Scar who was a bit too realistic, they finally ended up with a Scar who was just right. In all the wrong ways, of course.
Scar. Drop him.
Impeccable timing, Your Majesty.
Number 18. From the Pride Land's worst brother to the ocean's best friend, let's take a look at how much Sebastian changed from his original art. Can you believe that Sebastian was originally green with a patterned shell? Yes, Sebastian used to look entirely different. And while he did match better with that older version of Ariel, we're happy that he changed completely. Crabs are usually red, right? Number 19. From one little red sidekick to another, Mulan's pal Mushu could also have looked totally different. He was once shorter and way sillier looking. Since this sketch is only in black and white, we don't know if Mushu also could have been green, but we do know that it would have totally changed the movie if Mushu looked like this.
Hey, get out of there! You're gonna make people sick!
Number 20. Let's be real, how much would a different looking King Triton actually have changed The Little Mermaid? You'd be surprised. Seriously, can you imagine King Triton looking like he's part of some sort of bizarre motorcycle gang? Well, he almost did. Ariel's dad originally had a shaved head, no beard, and was less buff than we're used to seeing him. Plus, he looks way less royal without his signature crown and trident. And that really long mustache? No comment. Number 21. When Aladdin was just an idea and not yet one of our all-time favorite Disney movies, the beloved main character was actually going to be a teenager. Of course, as a younger character, he looked very different. Luckily, he transformed into the older, crush-worthy character we've come to know.
Let's work with me here. Ooh, I like it muy much.
Why did they age him up, though? Because they decided to give Aladdin a romance with none other than... Number 22. Princess Jasmine, Aladdin's famous magic carpet ride partner. But when Aladdin was going to be a teenager, Jasmine was going to be a totally different character too. She was older and looked more harsh and stuck up. She went through a lot of costume and hair changes, and we're happy she did. These two characters were totally made for each other. Literally. Number 23. Name a more iconic duo than Sully and Boo. We'll wait. But would this pair have been so iconic if Boo was older? We really don't think so. Yet Boo was close to being older with red hair and glasses. And during this phase, Sully had a much more plain, less teddy bear-like look.
Go ahead. Go grow up.
Number 24. Can you imagine Woody from Toy Story as a Disney villain? We certainly can't. But Woody was actually originally meant to be a bad guy. In that version, he looked like a marionette puppet and was super short and mean-looking. We're so happy we got our lovable Woody instead of this weird little guy.
You are a sad, strange little man, and you have my pity.
Number 25. The Genie from Aladdin is definitely who we think of when we think of genies, right? Well, his iconic look could have been very different and, very weird. He was originally green instead of blue and had some sort of crystal ball belly situation by the looks of this drawing.
A genie? That's terrible.
Besides just making the genie a lot less disturbing, they also altered him to look more like his beloved voice actor Robin Williams.
Let's get real here, it's not gonna happen.
Number 26. The Beast is a character whose appearance is super important to the story he's in. Beauty and the Beast would have changed drastically if the Beast looked different. In his design, it was important to walk the narrow line of a humanized character who was, well, not human. There were lots of different versions of the Beast, inspired by different animals before the creators landed on their final choice. Versions of the Beast looked like monkeys, gorillas, and even a bit like he could have been related to Pumbaa from The Lion King. Ultimately, the Beast is mainly modeled after a buffalo, but of course he has some much-needed human qualities as well. Belle wouldn't have fallen in love with a regular buffalo, right? Please say right.
Voila! Oh, you look so
stupid.
Number 27. Hercules Hades is one of the funniest, if not the funniest Disney villain there is. Making a guy who's in charge of the underworld funny wasn't an easy task, but the creators pulled it off flawlessly. Originally, he looked more like the devil, red with horns, but to be honest, based on this art, we think it would have been pretty funny this way too.
This is an audience or a mosaic? Hey, how you doing? Looking good, nice dress.
Number 28. Aurora from Sleeping Beauty is known for her long blonde locks and her tendency to sleep through movies, even when she's the main character. While she was of course always meant to have a penchant for snoozing, she almost had long black hair. She always had a waist that was narrower than her own neck though. Some biologically impossible things never change. Number 29. We all know the kittens from the Aristocats, Marie, Toulouse, and Berlioz.
Why should you be first? Because I'm a lady, that's why.
Original sketches of the Aristocats portrayed them as much fluffier kittens, and we think it would have been totally fine if they went with this design. These little cuties are an adorable trio either way. Number 30. We all know that Alice in Wonderland is a super surreal film. Alice herself, though, is fairly realistic. But originally, Alice was a bit surreal looking too. Her first design looked younger and much more cartoonish. And honestly, she was super cute in that OG drawing.
Oh, that was lovely.
Number 31. While the idea behind Jane from Tarzan's look was always the same, she originally looked like a completely different person. She looked more realistic, had red hair, and didn't have that classic yellow dress. When Minnie Driver became her voice actor, though, Jane Porter got a makeover to make her look more like Driver.
Oh, look, bananas! I can't believe you fell for that one.
Number 32. Snow White is known for being innocent and sweet, but she wasn't always that way. In her first iteration, Snow White was actually inspired by Betty Boop, who is known for being on the flirtier side. Snow White was actually only 14 years old, though. Yes, 14 years old. So maybe being entirely Betty Boop-based wouldn't have been the best choice. We can still see the similarities in the hair, though.
Lips red as the rose, hair black as ebony, skin white as snow.
Number 33. Dumbo is a little elephant with giant ears. That's his whole thing. But it actually took a ton of work to land on Dumbo's final look. His head and ear proportions changed repeatedly before he became the little elephant that could. And as much as we love Dumbo the way he is, we have to admit, all of these versions were super cute. Can you imagine how our favorite Disney movies would have changed if they'd gone with the OG character designs? What did you think of the changes that were made? We want to hear all about it in the comments, and if you love videos like this one, make sure you like and subscribe to The Things Animated for all the latest on your animated favorites.